1, 2, 3, 4. I got thoughts running through my head. I got thoughts, can't you see? I got thoughts, the books I read. I got thoughts, won't you listen to me?
Welcome back to The Author Has Thoughts. I am the author in question, Gary Ballard, and you are watching a video on my third novel, If Tribe Equals. There's already been I don't know how many parts before, but this is a continuation of that. I spoke about the Bottle City Boys earlier, and one of the things I wanted to do with the Bottle City Boys, and I actually have done more in the later books, and I'll talk more about it when I talk about Reclamation, my fifth book. But the Bottle City Boys was a concept that I had come up with. Again, it was one of those almost on a lark things. It's like, we needed a virtual gang. Hey, let's have a gang that's based on Superman, based on characters from Superman. But I also wanted it to be something that was based on a concept that just kind of sprung out of transhumanism, which is this whole idea that we transcend our bodies at some point and become data or information, something beyond the body and more of a mind type of thing, more of just the mind. And I realize I'm explaining transhumanism terribly, so if you're humanist, I apologize. But I wanted to take that concept of living outside the body and use some of the stuff that I'd read that Charles Stross had done with one of the novels I've read of his, whose name I forget. But I wanted to take a group of folks that lived online. They lived in basically an MOG, a massively multiplayer online game, only it was more of more of an actual place, and they didn't leave their crash. They don't leave their crash very often. They stay online. And again, I use that later. I call them the Transcendence in Reclamation. Bottle City Boys live in Candor, basically. They live in a bottle city that's based on Kurt Swan's drawing from Superman back in the 50s and 60s and such. And so I wanted Bridge to go there. I wanted Bridge to show the reader that area. So he does go at one point and enlist their help. And of course, like everywhere else, nobody trusts Bridge, so they have to give him a hard time first. But he uses Muse magic on the global net to kind of get his batter his way through. The concept of transcendence and people living online, they would need to be very good hackers, very good. And so, of course, he would go to them when he needs a big hack. Now, after Bridge escapes the assassination attempt, and I wanted to use that whole Mew thing, I wanted Mew's magic to help Bridge escape. He would have a ward on the apartment, but he had not told Angela about the ward, which kind of showed that Bridge possibly didn't trust her. He might have loved her, but he didn't necessarily trust her. That was kind of their relationship in a nutshell, and he is going to feel guilt about that for a while. After Bridge escaped, I wanted there to be an interlude, or a few interludes, because I'd already established that precedent that I could basically go to other viewpoints from in the last book in No Circuit. So in this case, I wanted to go to a number of viewpoints. So we get to see Sierra as she's having a firefight with some of the El Diablos, and we get to see some of the El Diablos and their viewpoint on things. We get to see a character that was also a minor character in the first book, Lieutenant Gina Danton. Danton has realized that she has to get cyber gear to really advance with the Chronosoft cops, the CLED, CLED. And so she got cyber eyes because it was what she could afford and what they would cover. And we get to see that, but because of that, we also get to see something that I wanted to bring up that was also a part of the RPG lore. It was the special squad of the CLED, of the Chronosoft Law Enforcement Division. And special squad is basically a group of psychos that are cops that are given experimental cybernetic gear that's really strong, really powerful, but also probably drives them fucking batty, or just does not help them, other than to do some mayhem. So we get to see the appearance of Special Squad, and again, that was part of the lore of the RPG. So I kind of wanted to introduce that, and there's a lot of that in this book. There's a lot of things that I had just kind of created the concept of for the RPG, but hadn't really fleshed it out. Well, here I wanted to give it a little fleshing, to give it a little meat, by giving the origins of it. And so she gets to see these cybered up crazies that are basically walking tanks in some way, shape, or form. Some of them have got big minigun and ceramic plates all in their bodies, so they're basically bulletproof. And I'm kind of playing with the idea of superheroes in a cybernetic world, cyberpunk world. We had the guy with the spider legs. It was very much based on the Scarlet Spider. Was it Scarlet? No, the Iron Spider costume that Tony Stark made for Spider-Man after Civil War, or during Civil War in the comics, not in the. They did later actually add it in the second Spider-Man movie, Far From Home. So I wanted to play with that a little bit, and then I wanted to get Aristotle, give him an interlude where we see his kind of descent into this alcoholism, and into basically depressed day drinking. Then to have him kind of wake up when he thinks that Bridge is dead, or maybe faking his death. He doesn't know for sure. He wants to make sure. I had at the end of the interludes Aristotle meet with Danton, because he knows she's a cop. She can investigate some of this stuff. And then Danton finally finds Bridge, or Bridge finds her after she started investigating everything. When Bridge meets Danton and discusses he might need her help, that's when he's formed this plan in his head. And, he goes to see the Bottle City Boys for help, and he goes to see Michael Freeman for help. And, of course, Freeman has known Angela for a while, and we come to find out that they were having an affair, or they had a cybernetic sexual relationship. And, of course, Freeman was holding a candle for her for no reason whatsoever. And he attacks Bridge, and then they talk about it. And Freeman, I wanted to make more of a important character, because in the original RPG lore, he is a very important character. And he will continue to be through the series. As we go through the series, you'll see he's a character we don't see much, but he has a huge part to play. Spoilers. So, Bridge enlists all these different people, and he gets he tries to get all the groups together, all the different 5 families together, as well as the mayor and the guy, the Chronosoft executive who he screwed over under the Amoral Bridge as part of the whole election thing. So, because that let me get another conversation with Paulie, because I love Paulie, it made sense to bring them all together under this agreement. Now I have a long sort of set piece where Special Squad comes after Bridge and Aristotle and Mew and Gina Danton. And I wanted to have that set piece. I wanted to have that big rocking, train fight and chase scenes. I think that would make a really good set piece in in a TV show or comic or movie or comic. Be cool. Yeah, I thought it was a pretty cool scene, and I actually think, as I read them, I think I do 2 things well in my writing. I think I do action pretty well when I write, and I think I do dialogue and repartee pretty well, better than I would have thought I had. As a matter of fact, as I was writing the newest novel that I'm writing right now, the 6th novel, I get and I I don't really get writer's block, but I get parts where I just kind of I'm almost, I don't want to write because I know it's basically stuff that's moving the plot along, but it isn't really very exciting necessarily. It's, maybe explanation or something like that. And I realized, just write some fucking bridge dialogue, man. Let him work it out with words, and it tends to, move things along. And so I kind of have to, point myself up, poke myself with that. But I also have to say, I think those are my two strongest assets when I'm writing, especially a story in this type of genre, is give me a good action set piece, I can write it up, and give me some good dialogue where I can throw some witty lines back and forth, and have Bridge just be an asshole. Usually tends to work. Get through the set piece, and we get to the final thing, and I don't think I want to give away the spoilers of everything, because I think that last bit is pretty good. But the takeaway of everything that happens is that Bridge has discovered not necessarily a loophole, but certainly a weak part in the LGL, the Local Governance License Act, which says that LGLs can set up what are called autonomous zones. And I'm thinking of places like Amsterdam and the way they made heroin and drugs legal. I'm thinking of that kind of autonomous zone where basically anything goes. This little walled off area doesn't have any laws, is not administered by Chronosoft, but is still a part of Chronosoft, or the LGL, and you can put whoever you want in there and let them do whatever the fuck they want. So you can have prostitution, you can have blood sports, you can have, whatever, whatever the people that live that are there will allow to happen. And it doesn't reflect on Chronosoft. And Bridge reasons that the idea behind it was to allow the LGLs to kind of fudge one of the things that they were going to be audited on, which is crime rate. Because again, the LGLs were established to restore stability and peace to these rioting cities, and so they needed to get their crime rate. If it's violent crime rate is up here, they need it down here. Well, good way to do that: set up an autonomous zone, push everybody into that zone. Crime rate goes down. You're not worried about the crime rate there because there are no crimes in there. So people have a place, have an outlet. It's almost like a little mini purge. Well, Bridge gets the idea that Chronosoft could set up this autonomous zone and then get members that live there, people that live there, in this case the 5 families and the Citizens Brigade, who are all being pushed towards ethnic cleansing anyway, get them in there and do basically Saturday Night Combat. The Gangland TV, GlobalNet TV show, streamed every Saturday night from 6 to 7, or I think 6 to 7, something like that, Pacific time. And not only would that be a draw because it ends up being one of the highest rated streaming shows ever, but it would, take that crime rate that the LGL was trying to get down and, push it down. Bridge, brings that idea forward. Everybody agrees to it, and there's a number of reasons that they agree to it. At the end, we set up Gangland with Bridge as one of the executive producers of the TV show, so he's getting money from it. Always looks good for Bridge that he's making paper. Although, we later find out that Bridge's money, he kind of looks at it like a poison chalice, in that, he's making money, but it's money from the corporations. It's money they can track. So he ends up, in later books, he ends up not really spending that money for himself. He has to kind of try to funnel that money through other things so that it can't be traced to what he actually spends it on. He also pulls a fast one on Chronosoft in that he supplies the gangs with rubber bullets as opposed to real bullets. So it looks like people are getting shot and dying, but they're not. I mean, it's still going to hurt. You see hit somebody in the eye with one, it can still kill them, but it's much better than tossing real bullets out at each other. I think, he tries to make sure that Chronosoft doesn't know about it, but I believe at some point the Chronosoft guys figure it out and just don't give a shit, because the ratings are so high that whatever keeps it going for as long as it can go, they okay with them. They love their ratings. You have the gangland, and Bridge is now a producer, and he is using the gangland for his own purposes as well. He has Freeman and the Bottle City Boys help him hack the city blueprints so that some of the entrances to that area through the sewers or whatever are only known to him now, so that he can get in and out without people seeing him. Other people can get in and out without being seen, without being tracked by the corporations. Because again, the corporations treat this as, the Chronosoft guys treat this as it's its own little country. So if you're a citizen of the outside there, you can go in, and we'll take your name as you go in. Say, okay, you entered the autonomous zone at 6 o'clock, and if you disappear, you're on your own. We just want to know that you've disappeared and you never did come back. So they do track people going in and out. The idea of the blood sport, I honestly, I don't think it's all that far from what we do now. Kind of reality TV and things like MMA and UFC are, and even to an extent WWE, even though it's wrestling is fake, I said it, everybody knows it, so I mean, not really a controversial statement there. But it has this, WWE has this, and other wrestling things have these meta stories that follow these people, these characters that are the wrestlers, and MMA is, wishes it could do that. Although Conor McGregor and folks like that certainly have their own characters that they portray. I mean, I'm not sure how much of a character being a complete drunken asshole is, but it was just, let's take that and let's push it into guns, because America loves its guns, America loves its gun fights, America loves the bad boy, and they love blood sports. So what's left of America would love gangland. They would eat it up. And I'm sad to say all of those things I believe are true. I could absolutely, in my lifetime, envision a time where there is a TV show of gang violence or some kind of violence, combat and firefights like this, that is popular and people love it. I hope not. I hope we can control our better nature, but a decade's worth of school shootings and mass shootings don't leave me very hopeful about that. Hear ye, now convenes the trial of... Oh, wait.